absolutely horrible for audio quality.
Dude, this is like unimaginable wealth, dude. How the f do people make this much money? $2.9 million near Las Vegas? Dude, oh my lord, dude. You can buy a castle in Las Vegas. We're getting triggered because people can apply this to you. Fact is, it seems super griffy. People can't apply this to me. People try to apply this to me, but they can't. I live way beneath my means, but I still think it's being idiotic as a principle, so it doesn't matter. I very openly talk about how I live way beneath my means. Regardless, though, I mean, I don't even have...
Oh, shit. La, 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 wait till I get my money right.
Unimaginable wealth, dude. Do people make this much money? I very openly talk about how I live way beneath my means.
All right, guys. So time and time again, I try to tell you that progressives are actually regressive. They're some of the most backwards people on earth, okay? They simply lack common sense, right? This is why you can't reason with some of these people. You can't reason with them. And on one of the issues that they're simply regressive on is the race conversation, okay? A lot of these people want to take us back to Jim Crow, right? They're the actual real Jim Crow segregationists as they push for segregation, okay? They don't want a colorblind society. They actually want everything to be based off color and race. Again, this is what we were trying to get away from, right? Apparently, in 2022, if you believe in treating everybody equally, regardless of their race, if you believe in a colorblind society, then you are a radical, right? According to the progressive left, okay? And also, apparently, if you believe that it's not a good thing for the Biden administration, aka the federal government, aka the taxpayer, to fund crack pipes in black communities, apparently that also makes you racist, or at least according to Hassan Piker, aka Cenk Yogurt's nephew, Cenk Yogurt from TYT, who, by the way, claims to be a socialist, right? And says that he lives below his means, but he's out here buying $1 million mansions in Hollywood, LA, and $200,000 Porsches, flexing on his socialist fan bases while they continue to give him money, right, to live a lifestyle that he claims that people shouldn't be living in a civilized society, in which the rich pay their fair share, so much so that they can't afford the lifestyle that Hassan is living. But, you know, hey, these progressives, we know, they don't practice what they preach. As this guy had the cojones to tweet, quote, Biden giving free crack pipes controversy is so effing racist. It's a new low for the Republican parasites. This is one of 20 provisions for recovery. It's harm reduction for addicts. Every civilized nation does this to save lives, and yet they're lasering on the crack. Wonder why? Wow. I mean, I just have so many issues with this tweet, okay? It's just so many things wrong with this. First of all, calling Republicans parasites. Okay, I mean, I don't understand how this guy is actually still on the internet, right? Again, this is a prime example of how censorship definitely has a bias, okay? Because people on the right who say stuff like this, okay, who call their political opponents parasites, those people get banned, right? But this leftist here, this progressive who calls his political opponents parasites, this guy is allowed on the internet, right? He's allowed on the internet. He can freely say stuff like this. And I'm not saying that he shouldn't be allowed to say it, but I just find it fascinating how this guy, who is an open racist, right? This is the same dude who got so pissed because Twitch banned him for 7 days for saying the C word, right? The anti-white racial slur, calling people saltines. I mean, this guy got so upset, I mean, that he could not call people racial slurs, okay? That is how racist this guy is, okay? But for whatever reason, he is allowed on the internet, but other people aren't, okay? I just find it to be fascinating. But again, what he's essentially saying here, his argument is that if you don't want crack pipes in black communities, right? And we're saying black communities because, again, according to the left, these are the same people that got on Joe Biden, right, for his role in pushing the drug bills in the 80s that, you know, they say disproportionately targeted black people because black people did crack instead of cocaine, right? And that there was a disparity in the sentencing, okay? So again, the focus on crack, that's a left-wing argument, right? That's what the left says. They say that, hey, this was wrong because more black people tend to do crack than cocaine, okay? So again, that comes from them. But what he's saying essentially is that it is racist for Republicans to be concerned about the Biden administration essentially incentivizing or facilitating black people doing drugs, right? And if you're against that, then you're a racist, right? Not only you're a racist, you're a parasite, according to this guy. Okay, this is what he says, right? And his excuse for why this is acceptable is that, well, it's 1 out of 20 provisions for recovery. Well, I mean, listen, that's $30 million that we spent, okay? $30 million. And this is in the COVID relief package. This has nothing to do with COVID. It shouldn't even have been in the COVID relief package. It should have been his own bill, right? That's my problem with it, okay? On top of the fact that they're handing out crack pipes, allegedly. And then he says, well, every other civilization does this. Okay, and so what? Right? Progressives love using this silly argument to support their backwards policies. We say, well, every other country does it. Oh, okay, and what I got to do with America? Just because every other country does something doesn't necessarily mean we should do it, right? In fact, America became great because we were doing things that other countries weren't doing, right? You know what I'm saying? This is why we're the most successful democracy in history, because we were doing things that other countries weren't doing, right? But again, according to these guys, because we do things that other countries aren't doing, then that apparently that by definition is wrong. Okay, we must do what every other country on earth is doing, or else it is bad. Okay, according to arguments from the progressive left. Okay, so enough of this guy. People should already understand. Just he should not be taken seriously. Okay, he's a socialist driving a $200,000 Porsche, living in $1 million houses in Hollywood. He's not one of you, right? He's not the average working class guy, right? And he's not even pretending to be. He's not even pretending to be. But anyways, hey, it is what it is, man. It's a free market. Okay, he make his money. Grift on, brother. Grift on. I ain't knocking your hustle. But what I want to talk about here is another response, basically the fact checkers response to this news about, Biden allegedly handing out crack pipes as a part of, smoking kits. And, their response to it, because this happens all too often with fact checkers, and it is a primary reason why we can't trust these fact checkers, okay, and that we need fact checkers for the fact checkers, because these guys are just left-wing political operatives, okay? As critics mock liberal fact-checking site for rating reporting on Biden crack pipe funding mostly false. Now, this was Snopes, okay, and what these fact checkers do is that if they don't like something, right, what they'll do is they'll say it's mostly false, right, or false, but then in the fine print, they'll tell you why it's not false, right, but they'll put the overall rating as false, okay, because they know that most people are just going to see the rating and say, oh, no, it's just not true, right, and it's hilarious how they do this, and this is just another example of them doing this with this Biden crack pipe controversy, and they have to be called out for this, okay? Because, again, these people are not fact checkers. They're simply political operatives. So let's read here. Snopes, a liberal fact-checking site, was mocked by critics this week for rating reporting on the Biden administration's alleged funding of crack pipe distributions to drug users as mostly false, while also admitting that safer smoking kits were required to be distributed as a part of a Department of Health and Human Services HHS grant. Again, exactly what I'm talking about. They say that it's false that Biden is funding crack pipe distribution, but also say, oh, no, they are handing out safer smoking kits. Well, what do you think is going to be a part of the safer smoking kits, right? What do you think is going to be a part of it? So how is the fact check mostly false when you're telling us that, yeah, they are handing out safer smoking kits? You see what's going on here? In a Tuesday piece claiming news reports grossly misrepresented details about the substance abuse harm reduction program, Snopes stuck with its mostly false rating by arguing it was inaccurate to say that the distribution of the smoking kits was intended to advance racial equity, but admitted that the pipes would be distributed with race as a secondary consideration. Again, you see what they do here? They said, well, the main intent is not to advance racial equity, so we're going to rate this as false, even though the distribution of the crack pipes, right, or the smoking kits, the prioritization is going to go to so-called marginalized communities, right, which basically means black people and so-called people of color. Okay, but it's mostly false. You would think that an honest fact checker would say it's mostly true, but here are the details, right? That would be the honest fact check, okay? The dishonest fact check is to rate it mostly false and then tell you in the details that is mostly true, right? Again, this stuff is hilarious. According to the Washington Free Beacon, the grant program overseen by HHS would help make drug use safer for addicts by providing funds to nonprofits and local governments. The grant includes funds for smoking kits / supplies, and according to a spokesman for the agency speaking with the Free Beacon, the kits will provide pipes for users to smoke crack cocaine, crystal methamphetamine, and any illicit substance. The Free Beacon added that applicants for the grants are prioritized if they treat a majority of underserved communities, including African Americans and LGBTQ plus persons, as established under President Joe Biden's executive order on advancing racial equity. But that's false, according to Snopes, right? Quote, in 2022, a U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Substance Abuse Harm Reduction grant did require recipients to provide safer smoking kits to existing drug users. In distributing grants, priority would be given to applicants serving historically underserved communities, Snopes wrote in its fact check. Again, so they'll write that, but then say, oh no, it's mostly false that they're doing this to advance racial equity. Amazing. Again, I've seen them do this before, right? I've seen them do this before. So again, it's just funny how this happens, okay? When there's things out there they don't like. Quote, this is one of just around 20 components of the grant program and far from its most prominent or important one, despite being a primary focus of outraged news reports. The purpose of the program was to reduce harm and the risk of infection among drug users, not to advance racial equity. Although that was a secondary consideration, it added essentially disproving its own fact check. Ding. That's exactly what they're doing. Critics took to social media to mock Snopes for proving the Free Beacon's reporting on the crack pipes accurate despite its mostly false rating. Quote, I don't understand why fact-checking sites twist themselves into rhetorical puzzles like this, wrote one critic, while another joked that one needed to read the fine print when it came to Snopes fact-checking. Again, they do this all the time. Right? They do this all the time. They do it all the time. They're getting roasted for this. What's true? Everything. What's false? Nothing. Verdict. Mostly false from Snopes. That's literally exactly what they do. One person said, this is literally true in every way, but we dislike the emphasis. False, right? That's literally what it is. Well, you're emphasizing the wrong thing, so it's false, right? According to us. Instead of saying it's mostly true and that, hey, you know what? The emphasis on this, we think, is a little bit misguided. That would be an accurate fact check, right? That would be accurate. Okay, but again, these fact checkers are not concerned about accuracy. They're concerned about narrative. After being pillowed by critics, Snopes oddly updated its fact check from mostly false to outdated. It also updated the piece with an explanation to reflect the change. Quote, after a wave of grossly misleading news coverage in February 2022, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services stipulated that federal funding would not be used to include pipes in safe smoking kits as part of a substance abuse harm reduction program. This newly stipulated detail was not originally available, meaning the assertions made in the first wave of coverage had become outdated. It adjusted its original fact-checking piece to read. Okay, so here's the thing. They know that their original fact check was bunk, right? Was garbage. Okay. So after all the outrage from this report that Biden was handing out crack pipes, the Biden administration comes out and said, no, we're not handing out crack pipes, right? Even though they originally told the guy that was reporting on this that is exactly what they're doing. And also a part of other harm reduction programs that have been tried in Canada, have been tried in the States. They have, in fact, included crack pipes. Despite all that, right, they're saying, oh, no, we're not doing that anymore. Okay, so Snopes takes this opportunity from the Biden administration trying to clean up their mess. They try to correct their own fact check and say, oh, no, it's outdated, right? It's outdated, okay? As their way of basically avoiding saying that it is true that that's what they were going to do, right? Because it is, right? It is true. But see, they don't want to say that. Again, I find it hilarious how they do this, okay? And again, this is just a prime example of why these fact checkers they can't be trusted, right? They can't be trusted. You can't even trust the fact checkers. You need fact checkers for the fact checkers. And once again, they reveal themselves to be not fact checkers, not people concerned about objective truth, but simply just political operatives for the Democrat Party, right? Whatever we don't like or we don't agree with is false, and whatever we do agree with is true, right? That's basically how it goes. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.